Maya Chen thought she was helping her family when she handed over her entire life savings to her older brother, $47,000, accumulated through years of careful budgeting, weekend jobs, and sacrifice, money she had planned to use for her dream of opening a small bakery in downtown Portland. Instead, she watched helplessly as Marcus used her funds to launch his tech startup, then systematically pushed her out of the company she had helped build from the ground up. When she finally gathered the courage to ask for her investment back, his response shattered more than just her financial future. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Growing up in a modest ranch house in Beaverton, Oregon, Maya had always been the responsible one. While her older brother Marcus dreamed big and talked bigger, she quietly worked toward achievable goals with methodical determination. Their parents, David and Linda Chen, had immigrated from Taiwan in the early 80s, with little more than engineering degrees and boundless optimism for their children's futures in America. David worked as a civil engineer for the city, designing water treatment facilities and roadway improvements that would serve the community for decades. Linda taught mathematics at the local high school, spending her evenings grading papers and tutoring students who struggled with concepts that came naturally to her own children. The Chen household valued education, hard work, and family loyalty above all else, principles that would later become both Maya's greatest strength and most devastating weakness. Maya, 3 years younger than Marcus, had inherited her mother's analytical mind and her father's steady temperament. Even as a child, she approached problems with careful consideration rather than impulsive action. While Marcus would tear through his allowance within days of receiving it, Maya saved every penny, organizing her coins in neat stacks and recording her growing balance in a small notebook she kept hidden beneath her mattress. The disparity in their personalities became more pronounced as they entered their teenage years. Marcus excelled in subjects that required creativity and presentation skills, charmed his way through English classes with eloquent essays about books he had barely skimmed. His teachers often commented on his natural leadership abilities and charismatic presence, qualities that made him popular among his peers, but sometimes led to conflicts with authority figures who saw through his surface-level preparations. Maya, by contrast, earned her grades through meticulous study habits and genuine comprehension of the material. She spent hours perfecting her homework assignments, reading textbooks cover to cover, and preparing detailed notes that she would later share with classmates who struggled to keep up. Her teachers appreciated her reliability and thoroughness, though she never commanded the same attention that Marcus effortlessly attracted. The Chen family dynamic reflected these personality differences in ways that would shape both siblings' adult relationships. During family dinners, Marcus regaled their parents with stories of his latest schemes and ambitious plans, speaking with infectious enthusiasm about business ideas he had conceived during lunch breaks or weekend gatherings with friends. David and Linda listened with obvious pride, asking questions that encouraged him to elaborate on his visions of entrepreneurial success. Maya's contributions to these conversations tended toward practical concerns and careful analysis of the potential challenges Marcus might face. While her insights were often valuable, they lacked the excitement and optimism that her parents seemed to crave after long days of demanding work. Gradually, she learned to remain quiet during these discussions, saving her observations for private conversations with Marcus that he increasingly dismissed as pessimistic or unnecessarily cautious. This pattern established itself so thoroughly that by the time Maya graduated from high school, she had unconsciously accepted her role as the family's practical support system rather than its visionary leader. She enrolled in the business program at Portland State University, choosing courses that would provide her with concrete skills in accounting, operations management, and small business development. Her plan was straightforward and achievable: to graduate with minimal debt, work for several years to gain experience and accumulate capital, then open a small bakery specializing in fusion pastries that combined traditional Chinese techniques with Pacific Northwest ingredients. Maya had discovered her passion for baking during high school, initially as a way to contribute to family gatherings and school fundraisers. What began as a hobby quickly revealed itself as a natural talent. Her ability to balance flavors, modify recipes for different dietary requirements, and present food in visually appealing ways impressed everyone who sampled her creations. More importantly, baking provided her with a creative outlet that complemented rather than competed with her analytical nature. Each recipe became a careful experiment in chemistry and artistry, requiring precise measurements, timing, and technique while allowing for personal expression and innovation. She spent hours researching traditional Chinese pastries, learning about regional variations and historical significance, then developing modern interpretations that honored the original concepts while appealing to contemporary tastes. Her green tea macarons, filled with red bean paste, became legendary among her college friends, as did her black sesame croissants and five-spice sugar cookies. Throughout college, Maya worked part-time at a local coffee shop, saving every possible dollar while gaining valuable experience in food service operations. She observed how successful businesses managed inventory, handled customer complaints, and maintained consistent quality standards under pressure. Her managers quickly recognized her reliability and promoted her to shift supervisor, then assistant manager, responsibilities that provided additional income and practical knowledge she planned to apply to her own venture. Marcus, meanwhile, had enrolled in a communications program at the University of Oregon, where he flourished in the social environment and discovered his talent for persuasive presentation. He joined multiple student organizations, ran successfully for class representative positions, and developed a network of connections that extended far beyond his immediate academic circle. His college years were filled with parties, networking events, and elaborate plans for various business ventures that never quite materialized but generated significant excitement among his peers. During holiday breaks and summer vacations, Marcus would return home with increasingly sophisticated business proposals, complete with market research he had delegated to classmates and financial projections that painted optimistic pictures of rapid growth and substantial profits. He spoke knowledgeably about emerging technologies, changing consumer behaviors, and investment opportunities that could transform their family's modest middle-class lifestyle into something far more affluent and exciting. David and Linda listened to these presentations with growing enthusiasm, occasionally suggesting that Marcus collaborate with Maya to combine his vision with her practical skills. These suggestions invariably led to awkward conversations, where Marcus would explain that his projects required someone with more experience in business development and financial management than Maya possessed, despite her academic performance and work experience in relevant areas. Maya found herself caught between disappointment at being excluded and relief at avoiding what she privately suspected were unrealistic ventures built on insufficient research and overly optimistic assumptions. She continued focusing on her own goals, gradually accumulating the capital she would need to launch her bakery, while developing the skills and knowledge necessary to sustain a successful small business. By her senior year of college, Maya had saved $38,000 through a combination of part-time work, careful budgeting, and modest contributions from her parents for academic achievements and birthday gifts. She had also completed a detailed business plan for her bakery, including market analysis, location research, equipment specifications, and financial projections based on conservative estimates of customer traffic and average transaction amounts. Her plan called for opening a small storefront in one of Portland's up-and-coming neighborhoods, where rent was still affordable, but foot traffic was increasing due to urban development and demographic changes. She had identified several potential locations, researched local licensing requirements, and established relationships with suppliers who could provide the specialized ingredients her fusion pastries would require. Marcus graduated 6 months before Maya with a degree in communications and a portfolio of internship experiences at various marketing and public relations firms. Rather than accepting any of the entry-level positions he had been offered, he announced his intention to launch his own digital marketing agency specializing in social media strategy for small businesses and startup companies. His proposal was compelling and professionally presented, complete with website mock-ups, client acquisition strategies, and revenue projections that showed steady growth leading to substantial profits within 3 years. He had researched the competitive landscape, identified underserved market segments, and developed service packages that addressed common pain points among small business owners struggling to establish effective online presence. The only element missing from Marcus's otherwise comprehensive business plan was sufficient startup capital. The equipment, software licensing, office space, and marketing budget necessary to launch his agency professionally would require approximately $50,000, significantly more than he had managed to accumulate during his college years, focused primarily on networking and experience gathering rather than systematic saving. Marcus approached his parents first, presenting his business plan during a family dinner that he had specifically requested for the purpose of discussing his entrepreneurial ambitions. David and Linda listened attentively as he explained the market opportunity, his competitive advantages, and the potential for building a business that could eventually employ other family members and contribute to the local economy. The presentation was impressive, but their response was measured and cautious. As civil servants with steady but modest incomes, they had limited liquid assets beyond their retirement savings and the modest emergency fund they had accumulated over decades of careful financial management. They offered to contribute $5,000 to Marcus's venture, the maximum amount they felt comfortable risking without jeopardizing their own financial security. Marcus accepted their contribution graciously, but explained that the amount was insufficient to launch his business at the scale necessary for competitive success. He needed to either find additional investors or delay his launch until he could accumulate more capital through traditional employment, an option he was reluctant to pursue due to what he perceived as a limited window of opportunity in the rapidly evolving digital marketing landscape. During the weeks following this conversation, Marcus began approaching other potential sources of funding, including former classmates whose families had more substantial resources and local business development organizations that provided loans or investment opportunities for promising startup ventures. Each of these inquiries yielded similar results, expressing interest in the concept but requiring more established credit history, business experience, or collateral than Marcus possessed as a recent college graduate. Maya observed these developments with sympathy for her brother's frustration, but also growing concern about the pressure she sensed building toward an inevitable request for her participation in his funding solution. Their parents had mentioned her savings account during several recent conversations, noting her impressive accumulation of capital and suggesting that successful siblings often support each other's business ventures during the early stages of their careers. The direct conversation she had been dreading finally occurred on a rainy Saturday evening in November, 3 months before her own graduation. Marcus had driven up from Eugene ostensibly to visit their parents, but he asked Maya to join him for coffee at their old high school hangout, a small cafe that had remained unchanged since their teenage years. The setting was deliberately nostalgic, filled with memories of homework sessions, post-game celebrations, and countless conversations about their dreams and plans for the future. Marcus ordered their usual drinks, made small talk about her upcoming finals, then gradually steered the conversation toward the topic she had known was coming. He began by acknowledging her impressive financial discipline and expressing genuine admiration for her ability to accumulate such substantial savings while still in college. He recognized that her money represented years of sacrifice and careful planning, and he understood that asking her to consider alternative uses for those funds was a significant request that he did not make lightly. Marcus then outlined his proposal with the same professional presentation skills he had demonstrated to their parents, but with additional personal appeals that emphasized their shared family loyalty and mutual commitment to each other's success. He was not asking for a gift or a loan that would compromise her bakery plans, but rather proposing a business partnership that would benefit both of their entrepreneurial ambitions. His digital marketing agency, he explained, would specialize in promoting small businesses exactly like the bakery Maya planned to open. By combining their resources and expertise, they could create a more substantial venture that would serve Maya's business interests while generating sufficient revenue to fund her bakery within 2 years, significantly faster than her original timeline of working for other employers while slowly accumulating additional capital. The partnership structure he proposed seemed carefully designed to address her potential concerns while maximizing the appeal of immediate action. Maya would invest her $47,000, which had grown through additional savings during their conversation, in exchange for a 40% ownership stake in the marketing agency. Marcus would contribute his business plan, industry connections, and full-time management of daily operations, justifying his 60% ownership through sweat equity and ongoing responsibility for business development. Maya would work part-time for the agency while completing her final semester of college, gaining valuable business experience while drawing a modest salary that would help offset her reduced hours at the coffee shop. After graduation, she could choose to work full-time for the agency or pursue other opportunities while maintaining her ownership stake and receiving quarterly profit distributions that would accumulate toward her bakery fund. The proposal included detailed financial projections showing how the agency's revenue growth would generate sufficient profits to fund Maya's bakery within 24 months, assuming conservative estimates of client acquisition and retention. Marcus had researched commercial kitchen rental rates, identified potential bakery locations that would complement the marketing agency's client base, and developed preliminary concepts for cross-promotional opportunities that would benefit both businesses. Maya listened to this presentation with growing internal conflict between her analytical skepticism and her desire to support her brother's ambitions. The business plan was thoroughly researched and professionally presented, addressing most of the practical concerns she might have raised while appealing to her family loyalty and entrepreneurial aspirations. At the same time, she could not ignore the subtle pressure tactics woven throughout Marcus's pitch. He emphasized the limited window of opportunity in the digital marketing space, suggesting that delaying his launch would compromise their chances of establishing market position before larger competitors entered the local market. He also stressed the mutual benefits of their partnership, implying that her refusal would not only damage his prospects, but also limit her own potential for business success. Most significantly, Marcus framed his request in terms of family support and shared values, suggesting that their parents would be disappointed if Maya chose individual financial security over collaborative family enterprise. He reminded her of the sacrifices their parents had made to provide both siblings with educational opportunities, and he proposed that their partnership would honor those sacrifices by creating a business that could eventually employ other family members and contribute to the community their parents had served throughout their careers. Maya asked for time to consider the proposal, promising to provide her answer within a week. Marcus agreed, but reminded her that market conditions were rapidly changing and that delays could compromise their competitive positioning. He left her with printed copies of his business plan, financial projections, and partnership agreement, encouraging her to review the documents carefully and ask questions about any aspects that required clarification. During the following week, Maya struggled with the decision in ways that revealed the fundamental tension between her analytical nature and her family loyalty. From a purely financial perspective, the investment represented enormous risk with uncertain returns. She would be committing her entire savings to a venture with no guarantee of success, managed by someone with no previous business experience, in a highly competitive industry where many startups failed within their first year of operation. Her bakery plan, by contrast, represented a much safer investment in a business model she understood thoroughly, serving a market she had researched extensively, using skills she had developed and tested over several years. Even if the bakery failed, she would at least have pursued her own vision rather than subordinating her goals to someone else's ambitions. From an emotional and family perspective, however, refusing Marcus's request seemed selfish and unsupportive. Their parents had consistently emphasized the importance of family loyalty and mutual assistance, values that suggested Maya should be willing to take some personal risk to help her brother achieve his entrepreneurial goals. Additionally, Marcus had presented compelling arguments about the potential benefits of partnership and collaboration that appealed to her desire for business success. Maya also recognized that her refusal might damage their sibling relationship permanently, creating resentment and tension that would affect family gatherings and shared activities for years to come. Marcus had invested significant time in developing his proposal, and rejecting it might be interpreted as a lack of confidence in his abilities or commitment to their family values. After reviewing the business plan multiple times, consulting with her business professors about general partnership considerations, and spending several sleepless nights weighing the alternatives, Maya decided to support Marcus's venture. Her decision was influenced primarily by her desire to maintain family harmony and demonstrate confidence in her brother's abilities, but she also convinced herself that the potential benefits justified the financial risk. Maya arranged another meeting with Marcus to discuss the terms of their partnership and establish clear expectations for their respective roles and responsibilities. She had prepared a list of questions and concerns based on her review of his proposal, including requests for more detailed financial controls, regular reporting requirements, and explicit agreements about her future exit strategy when she was ready to launch her bakery. During the following week, Maya struggled with the decision in ways that revealed the fundamental tension between her analytical nature and her family loyalty. From a purely financial perspective, the investment represented enormous risk with uncertain returns. She would be committing her entire savings to a venture with no guarantee of success, managed by someone with no previous business experience, in a highly competitive industry where many startups failed within their first year of operation. Her bakery plan, by contrast, represented a much safer investment in a business model she understood thoroughly, serving a market she had researched extensively, using skills she had developed and tested over several years. Even if the bakery failed, she would at least have pursued her own vision rather than subordinating her goals to someone else's ambitions. From an emotional and family perspective, however, refusing Marcus's request seemed selfish and unsupportive. Their parents had consistently emphasized the importance of family loyalty and mutual assistance, values that suggested Maya should be willing to take some personal risk to help her brother achieve his entrepreneurial goals. Additionally, Marcus had presented compelling arguments about the potential benefits of partnership that appealed to her desire for business success. Maya also recognized that her refusal might damage their sibling relationship permanently, creating resentment and tension that would affect family gatherings and shared activities for years to come. Marcus had invested significant time and effort in developing his proposal, and rejecting it might be interpreted as a lack of confidence in his abilities or commitment to their family values. After reviewing the business plan multiple times, consulting with her business professors about general partnership considerations, and spending several sleepless nights weighing the alternatives, Maya decided to support Marcus's venture. Her decision was influenced primarily by her desire to maintain family harmony and demonstrate confidence in her brother's abilities, though she also convinced herself that the potential benefits justified the financial risk. Maya arranged another meeting with Marcus to discuss the terms of their partnership and establish clear expectations for their respective roles and responsibilities. She had prepared a list of questions and concerns based on her review of his proposal, including requests for more detailed financial controls, regular reporting requirements, and explicit agreements about her future exit strategy when she was ready to launch her bakery. Marcus responded to these requests with patience and apparent openness, agreeing to most of her suggested modifications while explaining the practical limitations of some others. He accepted her proposal for monthly financial reports and quarterly partnership meetings to review business performance and strategic direction. He also agreed to include provisions in their partnership agreement that would allow Maya to withdraw her investment after 2 years, assuming the business had achieved sufficient stability to handle the financial impact. The conversation concluded with both siblings expressing optimism about their collaboration and confidence in their shared ability to build a successful business together. Maya felt relief that she had made her decision and excitement about the prospect of gaining entrepreneurial experience while supporting her brother's ambitions. Marcus demonstrated genuine gratitude for her investment and partnership, promising to justify her confidence through dedicated effort and transparent communication about all aspects of their business operations. 2 weeks later, Maya transferred $47,000 from her savings account to the newly established business account for Chen Digital Marketing Solutions. The name had been Marcus's suggestion, chosen to emphasize their family connection while positioning the agency as a comprehensive resource for digital marketing needs. Maya officially became the minority partner in a venture that would consume the next 3 years of her life and teach her painful lessons about the difference between family loyalty and business wisdom. The initial months of their partnership exceeded Maya's cautious expectations in several important respects. Marcus demonstrated genuine commitment to building their business, working 12-hour days to develop client relationships, create marketing materials, and establish operational systems that could support sustained growth. He hired a part-time web developer and graphic designer, both recent graduates who accepted below-market compensation in exchange for portfolio-building opportunities and potential equity stakes in future business expansion. Maya continued working part-time at the coffee shop while contributing approximately 20 hours per week to the marketing agency, primarily handling financial management, client communications, and operational logistics that Marcus found tedious or overly detailed. Her business school coursework provided practical knowledge that complemented Marcus's creative vision and sales abilities, creating what appeared to be an effective division of labor that maximized their respective strengths. Chen Digital Marketing Solutions acquired its first 3 clients within 6 weeks of launch, small businesses that needed basic website development and social media management services. The revenue from these initial contracts was modest but sufficient to cover their operating expenses while providing evidence that demand existed for their services within the local market. Marcus proved exceptionally skilled at client acquisition, combining his natural charisma with genuine expertise in digital marketing strategies and social media optimization. He attended networking events, participated in small business development workshops, and volunteered for community organizations that connected him with potential clients who appreciated his enthusiasm and professional competence. Maya handled the detailed implementation of client projects, ensuring that deliverables met promised specifications and deadlines, while maintaining the quality standards necessary for positive reviews and referral business. Her analytical skills proved valuable for measuring campaign effectiveness, optimizing advertising spending, and identifying opportunities for service expansion that aligned with client needs and agency capabilities. By the end of their first year, Chen Digital Marketing Solutions had grown to serve 15 regular clients with annual revenue approaching $60,000. While this fell short of Marcus's original projections, it represented substantial progress for a startup business in a competitive market. More importantly, their client retention rate exceeded 90%, indicating that their services provided genuine value and that their business model could support sustainable growth. Maya had graduated from college and accepted a full-time position with the marketing agency, drawing a salary of $36,000 that was modest but sufficient for her living expenses while allowing the business to reinvest most of its profits in equipment upgrades and marketing initiatives designed to accelerate client acquisition. The partnership appeared to be functioning effectively, with both siblings contributing according to their abilities and sharing in the satisfaction of building something meaningful together. Maya's bakery plans remained on hold, but she convinced herself that gaining business ownership experience would ultimately benefit her when she was ready to launch her own venture. During their second year of operation, however, subtle changes in Marcus's behavior began to create tension within their partnership that would gradually escalate into serious conflicts about business direction and decision-making authority. The initial collegiality and collaborative spirit that had characterized their early months gave way to more hierarchical dynamics that reflected Marcus's majority ownership stake and his role as the public face of their business. Marcus began making unilateral decisions about service offerings, pricing strategies, and operational policies without consulting Maya or seeking her input on matters that affected her daily responsibilities. When she raised concerns about these changes, he reminded her that his 60% ownership stake gave him ultimate authority over business decisions, though he always expressed willingness to listen to her suggestions and consider her perspective. These conversations revealed fundamental disagreements about business philosophy that had been masked during their initial period of rapid growth and shared enthusiasm. Marcus favored aggressive expansion strategies that required substantial reinvestment of profits and acceptance of increased risk in pursuit of larger market share and higher revenue growth. Maya preferred more conservative approaches that prioritized financial stability and sustainable development over rapid scaling. Their disagreements became more frequent and more heated as the business grew and the stakes increased. Marcus wanted to hire additional employees, lease larger office space, and invest in expensive marketing campaigns designed to attract larger corporate clients who could provide more substantial long-term contracts. Maya argued for maintaining their current operational scale while building larger cash reserves and paying down the initial investment debt before pursuing expansion opportunities. The tension reached a breaking point during their second anniversary celebration, when Marcus announced his intention to pursue a major client that would require expanding their service offerings to include video production and advanced web development capabilities.
Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story.
The contract would generate substantial revenue, but would also require hiring specialized employees and purchasing equipment that would consume most of their accumulated profits while committing them to service obligations that exceeded their current expertise. Maya objected to this proposal on multiple grounds, arguing that they lacked the experience necessary to deliver advanced services reliably and that the financial risk was disproportionate to their current stability. She suggested pursuing smaller opportunities that aligned with their proven capabilities while gradually developing additional expertise through training and incremental expansion. Marcus dismissed her concerns as overly cautious and inconsistent with the entrepreneurial spirit that had enabled their initial success. He reminded her that business growth required accepting calculated risks and that their competitors were expanding aggressively while they debated the merits of conservative strategies. He also suggested that her reluctance to support ambitious initiatives reflected her underlying commitment to leaving the business eventually rather than building it into a substantial long-term enterprise. This conversation revealed the fundamental misalignment between their respective goals and expectations that had been developing throughout their partnership. Marcus viewed the marketing agency as his primary career vehicle and was willing to reinvest everything necessary to maximize its growth potential. Maya continued to regard her involvement as temporary preparation for launching her bakery, making her naturally resistant to strategies that would delay her exit or increase her financial exposure. The conflict escalated when Marcus announced that he had already committed to pursuing the major client contract, having signed a preliminary agreement during a meeting that Maya had not attended. He presented this decision as evidence of his decisive leadership and market responsiveness, but Maya interpreted it as a betrayal of their partnership agreement and a fundamental violation of their collaborative decision-making process. Their argument that evening was the most serious conflict either sibling had experienced, revealing years of accumulated resentment and philosophical differences that had been suppressed in the interest of family harmony and business success. Maya accused Marcus of treating her like an employee rather than a partner, while Marcus argued that her resistance to growth opportunities demonstrated her lack of genuine commitment to their shared enterprise. The conversation concluded with Marcus asserting his majority ownership rights and Maya threatening to withdraw her investment and leave the business entirely. Both siblings recognized that their partnership had reached a crisis point that required either fundamental changes in their working relationship or dissolution of their business collaboration. During the weeks following this confrontation, they attempted to repair their partnership through compromise and clarification of their respective roles and expectations. Marcus agreed to consult Maya on major decisions while retaining final authority over business direction. Maya agreed to support the major client pursuit while maintaining her timeline for eventual exit from the business to launch her bakery. These agreements provided temporary stability but failed to address the underlying tensions that had created their conflict. Marcus continued to prioritize aggressive growth over financial security, while Maya remained committed to conservative strategies that would preserve her investment and allow for timely exit. Their fundamental incompatibility became increasingly obvious as the business grew and the pressure for strategic decisions intensified. The breaking point arrived during their third year of operation, when Maya finally decided that she was ready to withdraw her investment and launch her bakery. She had identified a suitable location, completed updated market research, and developed a comprehensive business plan that reflected 3 years of additional experience and industry knowledge. Maya approached Marcus to discuss the terms of her exit from their partnership, expecting a collaborative conversation about timing and financial arrangements that would allow both siblings to pursue their respective goals. Instead, she encountered resistance and arguments that gradually revealed Marcus's expectation that she would remain indefinitely involved in the marketing agency despite her repeatedly stated intention to launch her own business. The conversation that shattered Maya's trust in her brother took place on a Tuesday morning in their cramped office space above a vintage clothing boutique. She had requested the meeting 3 days earlier, sending Marcus a formal email outlining her intention to discuss partnership dissolution and withdrawal of her initial investment. The tone had been professional but firm, reflecting months of careful consideration and financial planning that supported her readiness to launch the bakery she had deferred for far too long. Maya arrived 30 minutes early, using the time to organize her thoughts and review the documents she had prepared to support her position. She had calculated the current value of her $47,000 investment, accounting for business growth and retained earnings that should have increased her ownership stake according to their original partnership agreement. Based on conservative estimates of the agency's assets and goodwill value, she expected to receive approximately $63,000, sufficient to secure her bakery location and purchase the initial equipment necessary for opening. Marcus entered the office with his usual confident stride, carrying a coffee from their neighborhood cafe and exhibiting none of the nervousness that Maya had anticipated given the significance of their discussion. He greeted her warmly, asked about her weekend plans, and settled into his desk chair with the casual demeanor of someone preparing for a routine business conversation rather than a potentially relationship-altering negotiation. Maya began by expressing gratitude for the partnership experience and acknowledging the success they had achieved together in building Chen digital marketing solutions from concept to profitable enterprise. She emphasized her pride in their accomplishments while explaining that her personal goals required pursuing the bakery opportunity that had been her original entrepreneurial vision. She presented her analysis of the business valuation and her proposed timeline for transition, suggesting a 6-month period that would allow Marcus to identify replacement personnel and gradually assume the operational responsibilities she currently handled. Maya had even researched potential candidates for her position, including recent business school graduates who possessed the analytical skills and operational knowledge necessary to support continued growth.
Marcus listened without interruption, occasionally nodding or making brief notes, but maintaining an expression that Maya found increasingly difficult to interpret. When she finished her presentation and asked for his thoughts on her proposal, his response revealed assumptions and expectations that completely contradicted her understanding of their partnership terms. According to Marcus, Maya's desire to withdraw from the business represented a fundamental breach of their collaborative commitment that would severely damage the agency's stability and growth potential. The clients they served had developed relationships with both partners, and losing Maya's operational expertise would compromise their ability to deliver consistent service quality. More significantly, withdrawing her investment would create a cash flow crisis that could force them to reduce services, lay off employees, or potentially close the business entirely. Marcus argued that Maya's exit strategy had been theoretical when they established their partnership, intended as a distant possibility rather than a concrete plan that would be implemented during the business's growth phase. He had expected their collaboration to continue indefinitely, with Maya eventually recognizing that the marketing agency provided better long-term financial prospects than a small bakery operating in an increasingly competitive food service market. The conversation became more heated as Marcus presented alternative proposals that would allow Maya to pursue her bakery interests while maintaining her partnership stake in the marketing agency. He suggested that she could operate her bakery as a subsidiary business, using the agency's marketing expertise to promote her food service venture while continuing to draw income from her ownership share in the established business. Maya rejected these alternatives as impractical compromises that would prevent her from focusing fully on either business, while creating potential conflicts of interest that could damage both ventures. She reminded Marcus of their original agreement regarding her exit timeline and withdrawal rights, emphasizing that her current request represented the fulfillment of plans they had discussed from the beginning of their partnership. Marcus's response revealed a fundamental misunderstanding or deliberate misinterpretation of their partnership documentation that would prove to be the first indication of deeper problems with their business relationship. He claimed that the exit provisions Maya referenced were contingent on business conditions that had not been met, specifically requiring that the agency achieve certain revenue benchmarks and maintain specific cash reserve levels before any partner could withdraw substantial capital. Maya requested access to their partnership agreement to review the specific language governing withdrawal procedures, but Marcus explained that the document was stored in his attorney's office and would require scheduling an appointment to examine. He suggested that they postpone their discussion until they could review the terms together, a delay that would allow him time to prepare more detailed alternative proposals for her consideration. This response triggered Maya's first serious concern about Marcus's transparency and good faith regarding their partnership terms. She had signed the agreement 3 years earlier and retained copies of all documentation, but her personal files were stored at her apartment rather than their office space. The suggestion that she could not immediately access the terms governing her own investment and ownership rights seemed suspicious and potentially manipulative. Maya insisted on reviewing their partnership documentation within the next few days, and Marcus agreed to retrieve the files from his attorney's office by the end of the week. However, his obvious reluctance to discuss specific terms and his repeated emphasis on the business disruption her exit would cause suggested that their conversation had revealed fundamental disagreements about her rights and his obligations as majority partner. The meeting concluded with both siblings feeling frustrated and misunderstood, though for entirely different reasons. Maya believed she had presented a reasonable request supported by careful planning and legitimate business documentation, while Marcus apparently viewed her proposal as an unexpected threat to the enterprise they had built together. During the following week, while waiting for Marcus to produce their partnership agreement, Maya began conducting her own research into partnership law and dissolution procedures. She consulted with a business attorney who specialized in small business disputes, explaining the situation in general terms without identifying specific individuals or businesses involved in the conflict. The attorney's initial assessment was encouraging, confirming that most partnership agreements included provisions for partner withdrawal and investment recovery, particularly when those provisions had been negotiated during the formation of the business relationship. However, the attorney also cautioned that the specific language governing dissolution procedures would determine Maya's rights and remedies, making review of their actual documentation essential for providing detailed advice. Maya also began documenting her contributions to the business beyond her initial financial investment, including her operational responsibilities, client relationships, and strategic inputs that had contributed to the agency's success. She realized that she had been functioning essentially as an unpaid consultant for much of their partnership, drawing a modest salary while contributing expertise and labor that justified compensation beyond her ownership stake. When Marcus finally produced their partnership agreement the following Friday, his demeanor had shifted noticeably from the collegial discussion of the previous week. He presented the document with obvious reluctance, emphasizing that the terms had been drafted during a different phase of their business development when circumstances were significantly different from their current situation. Maya's review of the agreement revealed language that was indeed more restrictive than she had remembered, though the specific restrictions were buried in complex legal terminology that had been difficult to fully understand when she originally signed the document. The exit provisions she had relied upon were subject to multiple conditions that Marcus claimed had not been satisfied, including requirements for advance notice, business valuation procedures, and majority partner approval that effectively gave him veto power over her withdrawal. More troubling was the discovery that her ownership percentage was calculated based on a formula that reduced her stake as the business grew, rather than maintaining the fixed 40% share she had assumed was guaranteed by their agreement. According to the current valuation methodology specified in their contract, her ownership had declined to approximately 28%, significantly reducing both her withdrawal value and her influence over business decisions. Maya realized that she had made a critical error in trusting Marcus to explain their partnership terms rather than seeking independent legal advice before signing their agreement. The document had been drafted by Marcus's attorney and heavily favored the majority partner's interests while providing minimal protection for her investment and limited recourse if disputes arose. The revelation that her partnership terms were far less favorable than she had understood created a crisis that extended beyond their business relationship into their personal and family connections. During the following week, while waiting for Marcus to produce their partnership agreement, Maya began conducting her own research into partnership law and dissolution procedures. She consulted with a business attorney who specialized in small business disputes, explaining the situation in general terms without identifying specific individuals or businesses involved in the conflict. The attorney's initial assessment was encouraging, confirming that most partnership agreements included provisions for partner withdrawal and investment recovery, particularly when those provisions had been negotiated during the formation of the business relationship. However, the attorney also cautioned that the specific language governing dissolution procedures would determine Maya's rights and remedies, making review of their actual documentation essential for providing detailed advice. Maya also began documenting her contributions to the business beyond her initial financial investment, including her operational responsibilities, client relationships, and strategic inputs that had contributed to the agency's success. She realized that she had been functioning essentially as an unpaid consultant for much of their partnership, drawing a modest salary while contributing expertise and labor that justified compensation beyond her ownership stake. When Marcus finally produced their partnership agreement the following Friday, his demeanor had shifted noticeably from the collegial discussion of the previous week. He presented the document with obvious reluctance, emphasizing that the terms had been drafted during a different phase of their business development when circumstances were significantly different from their current situation. Maya's review of the agreement revealed language that was indeed more restrictive than she had remembered, though the specific restrictions were buried in complex legal terminology that had been difficult to fully understand when she originally signed the document. The exit provisions she had relied upon were subject to multiple conditions that Marcus claimed had not been satisfied, including requirements for advance notice, business valuation procedures, and majority partner approval that effectively gave him veto power over her withdrawal. More troubling was the discovery that her ownership percentage was calculated based on a formula that reduced her stake as the business grew, rather than maintaining the fixed 40% share she had assumed was guaranteed by their agreement. According to the current valuation methodology specified in their contract, her ownership had declined to approximately 28%, significantly reducing both her withdrawal value and her influence over business decisions. Maya realized that she had made a critical error in trusting Marcus to explain their partnership terms, rather than seeking independent legal advice before signing their agreement. The document had been drafted by Marcus's attorney and heavily favored the majority partner's interests, while providing minimal protection for her investment and limited recourse if disputes arose. The revelation that her partnership terms were far less favorable than she had understood created a crisis that extended beyond their business relationship into their personal and family connections.
Maya felt betrayed and manipulated, while Marcus maintained that the agreement terms were standard for their type of partnership, and that Maya's expectations had been unrealistic from the beginning. Their discussion of the partnership documentation led to their most serious argument since beginning their business collaboration, with both siblings making accusations and expressing resentments that had been accumulating for months. Maya accused Marcus of deliberately obscuring the partnership terms and taking advantage of her trust and family loyalty. Marcus argued that Maya had been a willing participant in creating their business structure, and that her current complaints reflected buyer's remorse rather than legitimate grievances. The argument escalated when Maya demanded immediate access to detailed financial records that would allow her to calculate the true value of her ownership stake and verify that partnership profits had been distributed according to their agreement. Marcus's defensive response to this request raised additional concerns about his financial management and transparency regarding business operations. Over the weekend following their confrontation, Maya made the difficult decision to consult with the business attorney she had contacted earlier, this time providing specific details about her partnership agreement and the disputes that had emerged with Marcus. The attorney's analysis confirmed her suspicions that the partnership terms were unusually favorable to the majority partner and potentially problematic if challenged in court. More significantly, the attorney identified several procedural irregularities in how their partnership had been managed, including inadequate record keeping, failure to conduct required annual meetings, and distribution of profits that appeared to violate the terms specified in their agreement. These issues suggested that Marcus had been operating the business according to his preferences rather than the legal requirements governing their partnership structure. The attorney recommended that Maya demand a comprehensive audit of their business finances and partnership compliance, both to establish the accurate value of her ownership stake and to identify any additional irregularities that might affect her legal rights. If Marcus refused to cooperate with such an audit, or if the review revealed serious violations of their partnership terms, Maya would have grounds for legal action that could force dissolution of their business relationship under more favorable terms. Armed with this legal advice, Maya scheduled another meeting with Marcus to present her audit request and establish a timeline for resolving their partnership disputes. She approached this conversation with more confidence and specific knowledge of her rights, though she remained hopeful that they could reach an amicable resolution without involving attorneys or formal legal proceedings. Marcus's reaction to her audit request exceeded her worst expectations for resistance and hostility. He accused her of threatening their business relation necessary and potentially damaging to their client relationships if word leaked about internal partnership disputes. Most devastating was Marcus's announcement that Maya's recent behavior had compromised his confidence in her commitment to their business partnership and her ability to fulfill her operational responsibilities effectively. He had been considering whether changes in their working relationship might be necessary to protect the business interests of their clients and employees. Maya realized that Marcus was threatening to remove her from day-to-day business operations while maintaining the partnership structure that limited her ability to withdraw her investment or challenge his management decisions. This approach would effectively trap her in a business relationship where she had minimal influence and no control over her financial future, while Marcus maintained all operational authority and decision-making power. The conversation concluded with Maya informing Marcus that she would be proceeding with legal consultation to protect her interests and ensure that their partnership was managed according to the terms they had originally agreed upon. Marcus responded by suggesting that such action would force him to consider all available options for protecting the business from disruption and ensuring continuity of operations for their clients and employees. That evening, Maya called her parents to explain the situation and seek their advice on how to proceed. David and Linda listened with growing concern as she described the partnership disputes and Marcus's resistance to her exit requests. Their response reflected their deep discomfort with family conflict and their preference for collaborative solutions that would preserve relationships while addressing legitimate business concerns. David suggested that Maya and Marcus were both under stress from business pressures and that their disagreements might be resolved through family mediation rather than legal confrontation. Linda expressed confidence that Marcus would eventually recognize Maya's rights and work with her to find acceptable solutions, though she acknowledged that the partnership terms Maya described seemed unusually restrictive and potentially unfair. Their parents' response highlighted the family loyalty dynamics that had influenced Maya's original decision to invest in Marcus's business, but also revealed their limited understanding of the legal and financial complexities involved in partnership disputes. While their emotional support was comforting, Maya realized that resolving her situation would require professional assistance rather than family intervention. The following Monday morning brought the crisis to a head when Maya arrived at their office to find that her access credentials had been changed and that Marcus had arrived early to meet her at the entrance. His explanation that security measures were being upgraded for all personnel seemed plausible until he informed her that her operational responsibilities were being temporarily reassigned to ensure business continuity during their partnership discussions. Maya understood immediately that she was being removed from active involvement in the business while maintaining her legal obligations under their partnership agreement. This strategy would prevent her from accessing financial records, communicating with clients, or gathering the information necessary to support her legal position, while Marcus maintained full control over business operations and strategic direction. When she demanded immediate restoration of her access and responsibilities, Marcus explained that recent tensions had created a hostile work environment that was affecting employee morale and potentially compromising client relationships. He had decided to temporarily separate their operational roles while they worked through their partnership issues, a decision he was authorized to make as majority partner and chief executive officer. Maya realized that Marcus had effectively fired her from the business she had helped create and fund, while maintaining the legal structure that prevented her from recovering her investment or challenging his actions through normal employment remedies.
She was trapped in a partnership where she had no operational role, no access to information, and no practical ability to protect her financial interests. The betrayal was complete and devastating in ways that transcended their business relationship to fundamentally alter their family dynamics and personal connection. Marcus had used Maya's trust, financial resources, and operational expertise to build a successful business, then systematically excluded her when she attempted to pursue her own entrepreneurial goals. Maya left the office that morning knowing that her relationship with Marcus had been permanently damaged and that recovering her investment would require legal action that would likely destroy any possibility of family reconciliation. The brother she had trusted with her dreams and financial future had revealed himself to be someone capable of manipulating legal documents, exploiting family loyalty, and prioritizing his business interests over their personal relationship. During the following weeks, Maya's attorney filed formal demands for partnership dissolution and comprehensive business audit, triggering a legal process that would consume months of her time and emotional energy while generating substantial costs for both parties. Marcus responded by hiring his own attorney and challenging Maya's interpretation of their partnership terms, setting the stage for prolonged litigation that would ultimately require court intervention to resolve. The dispute quickly escalated beyond their original disagreements about exit procedures and investment recovery to encompass broader questions about Marcus's business management and compliance with partnership obligations. Maya's attorney discovered evidence of financial irregularities, unauthorized compensation changes, and operational decisions that violated their partnership agreement in ways that strengthened her legal position while revealing the extent of Marcus's misconduct. As depositions and document discovery proceeded, Maya learned that Marcus had been drawing additional compensation beyond what their partnership agreement authorized, had entered into contracts that exceeded his individual authority, and had made strategic decisions that benefited his personal interests while potentially harming her ownership stake. The business she had helped fund and build had been operated according to Marcus's preferences rather than their legal obligations to each other. The legal proceedings also revealed that Marcus had been exploring opportunities to buy out Maya's partnership stake at significantly below market valuations, suggesting that his resistance to her exit requests was motivated by desire to acquire her ownership share at minimal cost rather than legitimate concerns about business disruption. More disturbing was evidence that Marcus had discussed their partnership disputes with potential investors and business partners, portraying Maya as an unreliable partner whose departure would benefit the business while potentially positioning himself to secure additional funding that would further dilute her ownership percentage. The discovery of these activities convinced Maya that Marcus had been planning to marginalize her role and reduce her ownership stake regardless of her own preferences or decisions about the partnership. Her announcement of her intention to exit the business had simply accelerated his timeline for achieving objectives he had been pursuing through other means. Maya also learned that several of their major clients had been concerned about recent changes in service quality and communication patterns that coincided with Marcus's decision to exclude her from operational responsibilities. Her removal from client relationships had created exactly the business disruption that Marcus claimed to be preventing, while concentrating all client contact and service delivery responsibility on him personally. The evidence assembled during legal discovery painted a comprehensive picture of partnership mismanagement that supported Maya's claims for both financial recovery and damages related to Marcus's breach of their agreement obligations. However, the legal process was emotionally exhausting and financially expensive in ways that affected her ability to pursue her bakery plans, even if she ultimately recovered her investment. Maya found herself caught in a prolonged dispute that consumed her time, energy, and resources while preventing her from moving forward with her entrepreneurial goals. The delay in resolving their partnership dissolution meant postponing her bakery launch indefinitely, while the legal costs reduced the capital that would be available for her business even if she achieved favorable settlement terms. The stress of the legal proceedings also affected Maya's relationship with her parents, who struggled to understand the complex business and legal issues involved while maintaining their desire for family harmony and conflict resolution. David and Linda alternated between supporting Maya's position and encouraging her to find compromises that would restore their family relationships, creating additional pressure during an already difficult period. Marcus's behavior during the legal proceedings revealed aspects of his personality that Maya had never fully recognized during their business partnership. His willingness to make false statements, misrepresent their partnership history, and characterize Maya's legitimate business requests as frivolous legal harassment demonstrated a capacity for deception and manipulation that she found deeply disturbing. The brother who had once presented himself as her collaborative partner and supporter had transformed into an adversary willing to use every available legal and emotional tactic to maintain his advantages while minimizing her recovery options. The betrayal was more profound than financial misconduct because it revealed fundamental character flaws that called into question everything Maya thought she knew about Marcus's values and integrity. As the legal dispute continued through depositions, motion practice, and settlement negotiations, Maya realized that her original goal of recovering her investment and launching her bakery had been overshadowed by the necessity of holding Marcus accountable for his misconduct and protecting other potential victims from similar treatment. The case had evolved from a partnership dissolution into a broader examination of business ethics and family loyalty that would have implications far beyond their individual dispute. Maya's willingness to pursue legal remedies despite family pressure and emotional costs would establish precedents for how such conflicts should be addressed and what consequences should follow when trust and legal obligations are violated. Maya's attorney had assembled evidence supporting claims that could result in Marcus being required to pay substantial damages beyond simple return of her investment, including compensation for lost business opportunities, legal costs, and punitive awards related to his misconduct. However, achieving these outcomes would require taking their dispute to trial rather than accepting settlement offers that might provide faster but less complete resolution. The decision about whether to accept settlement terms or pursue maximum legal remedies would test Maya's resolve and her willingness to prioritize justice over expedient resolution of their conflict. The choice would also determine whether Marcus faced meaningful consequences for his actions or was allowed to retain most of the benefits he had obtained through manipulation and breach of their partnership obligations. As winter approached and their legal dispute entered its second year, Maya reflected on the devastating transformation of her relationship with Marcus and the destruction of her entrepreneurial timeline that had resulted from trusting him with her financial future. The ambitious young woman who had carefully saved for her bakery dreams had become an experienced litigant fighting for basic fairness and accountability in business relationships. The legal education she was receiving through her dispute with Marcus was valuable but expensive, teaching her lessons about contract negotiation, partnership management, and family business dynamics that she would apply to future ventures while hoping never to need such knowledge again. Maya also learned that several of their major clients had been concerned about recent changes in service quality and communication patterns that coincided with Marcus's decision to exclude her from operational responsibilities. Her removal from client relationships had created exactly the business disruption that Marcus claimed to be preventing, while concentrating all client contact and service delivery responsibility on him personally. The evidence assembled during legal discovery painted a comprehensive picture of partnership mismanagement that supported Maya's claims for both financial recovery and damages related to Marcus's breach of their agreement obligations. However, the legal process was emotionally exhausting and financially expensive in ways that affected her ability to pursue her bakery plans, even if she ultimately recovered her investment. Maya found herself caught in a prolonged dispute that consumed her time, energy, and resources while preventing her from moving forward with her entrepreneurial goals. The delay in resolving their partnership dissolution meant postponing her bakery launch indefinitely, while the legal costs reduced the capital that would be available for her business even if she achieved favorable settlement terms. The stress of the legal proceedings also affected Maya's relationship with her parents, who struggled to understand the complex business and legal issues involved while maintaining their desire for family harmony and conflict resolution. David and Linda alternated between supporting Maya's position and encouraging her to find compromises that would restore their family relationships, creating additional pressure during an already difficult period. Marcus's behavior during the legal proceedings revealed aspects of his personality that Maya had never fully recognized during their business partnership. His willingness to make false statements, misrepresent their partnership history, and characterize Maya's legitimate business requests as frivolous legal harassment demonstrated a capacity for deception and manipulation that she found deeply disturbing. The brother who had once presented himself as her collaborative partner and supporter had transformed into an adversary willing to use every available legal and emotional tactic to maintain his advantages while minimizing her recovery options. The betrayal was more profound than financial misconduct because it revealed fundamental character flaws that called into question everything Maya thought she knew about Marcus's values and integrity. As the legal dispute continued through depositions, motion practice, and settlement negotiations, Maya realized that her original goal of recovering her investment and launching her bakery had been overshadowed by the necessity of holding Marcus accountable for his misconduct and protecting other potential victims from similar treatment. The case had evolved from a partnership dissolution into a broader examination of business ethics and family loyalty that would have implications far beyond their individual dispute. Maya's willingness to pursue legal remedies despite family pressure and emotional costs would establish precedents for how such conflicts should be addressed and what consequences should follow when trust and legal obligations are violated. Maya's attorney had assembled evidence supporting claims that could result in Marcus being required to pay substantial damages beyond simple return of her investment, including compensation for lost business opportunities, legal costs, and punitive awards related to his misconduct. However,
the experience had made her more cautious and analytical about business relationships, while reinforcing her determination to maintain independence and control over her financial future. Maya's bakery dreams remained alive, but significantly altered by the delays and costs associated with recovering her investment from Marcus. The location she had originally identified was no longer available, market conditions had changed, and her financial position had been compromised by legal expenses and lost opportunity costs during the prolonged dispute.
However, the legal proceedings had also revealed Maya's resilience and analytical capabilities under pressure, qualities that would serve her well in future entrepreneurial ventures regardless of their specific focus or timeline. She had discovered strengths and resources she had not known she possessed while learning to navigate complex legal and business challenges without relying on family support or collaborative partnerships. The experience had fundamentally changed Maya's approach to business relationships and family dynamics, teaching her to distinguish between personal loyalty and professional obligations while developing the confidence necessary to protect her interests, even when doing so created conflict with people she cared about. As the legal dispute approached resolution through either settlement or trial verdict, Maya began planning for her post-litigation future with hard-earned wisdom about partnership structures, legal documentation, and the importance of maintaining independence even within collaborative business relationships. The painful lessons learned through her conflict with Marcus would inform every aspect of her future business planning and personal decision-making. The woman who emerged from this prolonged dispute would be fundamentally different from the trusting sister who had invested her life savings in Marcus's business venture. Maya had been transformed by betrayal and legal conflict into someone more cautious, but also more confident, more analytical, but also more determined to achieve her entrepreneurial goals on her own terms, without compromising her independence or integrity. The resolution came 18 months later on a gray Thursday morning in the Multnomah County Courthouse, where Maya sat beside her attorney reviewing the final settlement documents that would officially end her legal dispute with Marcus and dissolve their business partnership. The negotiated agreement bore little resemblance to the original partnership terms that had governed their relationship, reflecting the substantial evidence of misconduct that Maya's legal team had assembled during months of discovery and investigation. Under the settlement terms, Maya would receive $87,000 in compensation, representing not only the return of her initial investment with accumulated interest, but also damages for Marcus's breach of fiduciary duties and unauthorized appropriation of partnership assets. The amount exceeded her most optimistic expectations when she had first consulted with attorneys about recovering her investment, though it came at the cost of nearly 2 years of her life devoted to legal proceedings rather than entrepreneurial pursuits. Marcus would retain ownership of Chen Digital Marketing Solutions, but would be required to restructure the business as a sole proprietorship and remove Maya's name from all marketing materials, client contracts, and business registrations. He would also be prohibited from representing himself as having co-founded the business or from making any statements that suggested Maya had been an ineffective or unreliable business partner. More significantly for Maya's long-term interests, the settlement included provisions that would allow her to pursue clients and business opportunities in the digital marketing space without non-compete restrictions, while Marcus acknowledged that her operational expertise and client relationships had been essential to the agency's success. These terms would prove valuable when Maya eventually decided to launch her own business ventures in related fields. The financial settlement was structured to provide Maya with immediate access to $65,000, with the remaining $22,000 held in escrow, pending Marcus's compliance with various operational requirements over the following 6 months. This arrangement protected Maya from potential attempts by Marcus to avoid his obligations while providing him with incentives to fulfill the settlement terms without additional legal enforcement. Maya's attorney had recommended accepting the settlement rather than proceeding to trial, despite evidence that could have supported even larger damage awards, because the certainty of negotiated terms outweighed the risks and additional costs associated with jury verdicts. The settlement also avoided the emotional trauma of public trial proceedings that would have required both siblings to testify about their personal and family relationships in ways that could have caused lasting damage to their extended family connections. As Maya signed the final documents that afternoon, she reflected on the profound transformation she had undergone during the legal dispute that was finally concluding. The trusting young woman who had invested her life savings in her brother's business venture had evolved into someone far more sophisticated about legal protections, business relationships, and the importance of maintaining independence even within collaborative partnerships. The experience had been devastating in many respects, consuming 2 years of her life and forcing her to postpone her entrepreneurial goals while fighting for basic fairness and accountability. However, the legal education she had received through necessity had equipped her with knowledge and skills that would benefit every aspect of her future business planning and personal decision-making. Maya had learned to read contracts with analytical precision, to document business communications systematically, and to recognize warning signs of potential misconduct before they escalated into serious problems. More importantly, she had discovered her own capacity for resilience and strategic thinking under pressure, qualities that would serve her well in future challenges regardless of their specific nature or complexity. The settlement also provided Maya with financial resources that exceeded her original savings, creating new possibilities for entrepreneurial ventures that might not have been available with her initial $47,000 budget. The additional capital would allow her to pursue opportunities with greater scale and sophistication, while the legal knowledge she had acquired would help her structure business relationships that protected her interests while enabling productive collaboration. However, the most significant impact of the legal dispute extended beyond financial recovery or business education to encompass fundamental changes in Maya's relationship with her family and her understanding of trust and loyalty in personal relationships. The experience had revealed aspects of Marcus's character that she had never recognized during their childhood and early adult interactions, permanently altering her perception of her brother and their shared family history. Marcus's willingness to exploit their sibling relationship for financial gain, to misrepresent legal agreements, and to prioritize his business interests over family loyalty had shattered Maya's assumptions about the values and principles that governed their family dynamics. She had discovered that the brother she thought she knew was capable of deception and manipulation that contradicted everything she had believed about their mutual commitment and support. The legal proceedings had also strained Maya's relationship with her parents, who struggled to understand the complex business and legal issues involved while maintaining their preference for family harmony over individual accountability. David and Linda's attempts to mediate their children's dispute had revealed their limited comprehension of the misconduct Maya had documented and their reluctance to acknowledge that Marcus's actions warranted serious consequences. Throughout the legal dispute, Maya's parents had alternated between supporting her position and encouraging her to accept compromises that would restore family relationships at the expense of full accountability for Marcus's misconduct. Their response had highlighted generational differences in understanding business ethics and legal obligations, while demonstrating the challenges of maintaining family unity when serious violations of trust had occurred. Maya had gradually realized that her parents' definition of family loyalty included expectations that she should prioritize Marcus's comfort and their collective harmony over her own financial interests and legal rights. This revelation had been almost as painful as Marcus's betrayal, forcing her to reconsider her assumptions about family support and the conditions under which such support should be provided or withdrawn. The settlement negotiations had required Maya to make difficult decisions about how much family disruption she was willing to accept in pursuit of accountability and compensation for Marcus's misconduct. Her attorney had advised that pursuing maximum legal remedies could result in bankruptcy or criminal charges for Marcus, consequences that would have provided greater financial recovery while potentially destroying any possibility of family reconciliation. Maya had ultimately chosen settlement terms that held Marcus accountable for his actions while avoiding outcomes that would have made family relationships completely impossible to rebuild. This decision reflected her recognition that maintaining some connection to her parents and extended family required accepting less than complete justice in her dispute with Marcus. The choice had been emotionally difficult but strategically sound, allowing Maya to recover substantial compensation while preserving opportunities for limited family interaction in the future. She understood that her relationship with Marcus would never be restored to its previous form, but she hoped that time and demonstrated accountability might eventually allow for civil interaction during family gatherings and significant life events. 3 months after the settlement was finalized, Maya used her recovered capital to purchase a small commercial property in the Alberta Arts District, a rapidly developing area of Portland where creative businesses and innovative food service establishments were transforming former industrial spaces into vibrant community destinations. The building she acquired included a street-level retail space suitable for a bakery operation and a second-floor apartment that would allow her to live above her business while minimizing overhead costs during the startup phase. The location represented a compromise between her original vision of a neighborhood bakery and the more ambitious possibilities that her increased capital and business experience had created. Rather than simply opening a small storefront operation, Maya planned to develop a comprehensive food service business that would combine traditional bakery offerings with catering services, specialty cake design, and wholesale production for local restaurants and coffee shops. Her business plan incorporated lessons learned during her partnership with Marcus, particularly regarding the importance of maintaining operational control and financial independence while building sustainable growth strategies. Maya structured her new venture as a sole proprietorship, with detailed policies governing any future partnerships or investment relationships that might develop as the business expanded. She also established separate legal and financial advisory relationships that would provide independent oversight of her business decisions and protect her from the kind of misconduct she had experienced with Marcus. These safeguards included regular legal reviews of major contracts, quarterly financial audits, and professional consultation for any business decisions that involved significant risk or complexity. Maya named her business Confluence Bakery, reflecting both the geographic character of Portland's river system and her intention to bring together diverse culinary traditions in innovative ways that would appeal to the city's increasingly sophisticated food culture. The name also symbolized her personal journey through conflict and resolution to a new understanding of independence and collaboration in business relationships. The bakery's initial menu featured the fusion pastries Maya had developed during college, now refined through additional research and experimentation that incorporated techniques she had learned from professional baking courses taken during her legal dispute with Marcus. Her signature items included five-spice croissants, green tea madeleines, black sesame cookies, and seasonal specialties that highlighted Pacific Northwest ingredients prepared according to traditional Chinese methods. Maya had also developed a line of custom cake designs that combined Western decorating techniques with Asian aesthetic principles, creating unique products that appealed to customers seeking alternatives to conventional bakery offerings. These specialty items commanded premium prices while showcasing Maya's artistic abilities and cultural knowledge in ways that distinguished her business from traditional bakery competitors. The opening of Confluence Bakery in September represented the culmination of Maya's entrepreneurial journey and her recovery from the betrayal she had experienced with Marcus. The first year of operations exceeded her financial projections while establishing a loyal customer base that appreciated both the quality of her products and the story of determination and resilience that had led to the business's creation. Maya's success attracted attention from local media outlets and food bloggers who were interested in her fusion approach to traditional pastries and her journey from corporate partnership to independent business ownership. These features generated additional customers while providing Maya with opportunities to share her experiences about business partnerships, legal protections, and the importance of maintaining independence in collaborative relationships. The publicity also led to speaking opportunities at small business development workshops and women's entrepreneurship events, where Maya shared practical advice about contract negotiation, partnership structures, and legal resources for business owners. These presentations allowed her to transform her painful experiences with Marcus into educational content that could help other entrepreneurs avoid similar problems while building successful business relationships. Maya discovered that her legal ordeal had equipped her with knowledge and credibility that were valuable to other business owners facing partnership disputes or considering collaborative ventures. Her ability to explain complex legal concepts in accessible terms, combined with her first-hand experience of both successful collaboration and devastating betrayal, made her an effective educator and advocate for proper business practices. The speaking engagements also provided Maya with additional income streams while expanding her professional network in ways that created new opportunities for business growth and strategic partnerships. She began consulting with attorneys who specialized in small business law, helping them understand the practical implications of partnership agreements and the warning signs that might indicate potential disputes. These consulting relationships led to referrals from other business owners who needed assistance with operational planning, financial management, or dispute resolution strategies. Maya found that her combination of analytical skills, business experience, and legal knowledge created unique value for entrepreneurs who were navigating complex partnership or growth challenges. 2 years after opening Confluence Bakery, Maya expanded her operations to include a commercial kitchen facility that would support wholesale production and catering services for larger events. The expansion was funded entirely through business profits and a small business loan that was secured based on her demonstrated operational success and comprehensive business planning.
The growth strategy reflected Maya's commitment to maintaining independence and control over her business while pursuing opportunities that aligned with her skills and market demand. Rather than seeking investment partners or collaborative arrangements that might compromise her autonomy, she chose slower but more sustainable expansion that preserved her decision-making authority and financial security. Maya's approach to business growth had been fundamentally shaped by her experiences with Marcus, leading her to prioritize stability and independence over rapid scaling or partnership opportunities that might offer faster development but greater risk of conflicts or loss of control. This conservative strategy limited her immediate growth potential but provided long-term security and flexibility that allowed her to pursue opportunities on her own terms. The commercial kitchen expansion also created employment opportunities for other food service professionals in her community, allowing Maya to contribute to economic development while building a team of skilled employees who shared her commitment to quality and innovation. She established employee ownership opportunities and profit-sharing programs that reflected her belief in collaborative success without compromising operational control. Maya's hiring practices emphasize skills, creativity, and reliability rather than personal relationships or family connections, a policy that protected her business from the kind of interpersonal complications that had destroyed her partnership with Marcus. She maintained clear boundaries between personal and professional relationships while creating a positive work environment that encouraged employee development and innovation. During her third year of business operations, Maya received an unexpected phone call from Marcus, who requested a meeting to discuss potential collaboration between their respective businesses. Chen Digital Marketing Solutions had continued operating successfully despite the disruption of their legal dispute, and Marcus suggested that their shared expertise in business development could create mutually beneficial opportunities without reviving their partnership relationship. Maya's initial response was skeptical and cautious, reflecting her hard-earned wariness about any business arrangements involving Marcus. However, her attorney advised that limited, carefully structured collaboration might be possible if appropriate legal protections were established and if the potential benefits justified the risks of renewed contact with someone who had previously violated her trust. After extensive consideration and consultation with multiple advisors, Maya agreed to explore specific project-based collaborations that would allow both businesses to benefit from their complementary skills while maintaining complete independence and separate operations. These arrangements would be governed by detailed contracts that specified deliverables, compensation, and termination procedures without creating partnership obligations or shared decision-making authority. The first collaborative project involved Maya hiring Chen Digital Marketing Solutions to develop online marketing campaigns for Confluence Bakery's expansion into wholesale and catering services. The arrangement allowed Maya to access Marcus's expertise in digital marketing while maintaining full control over her business operations and strategic direction. Marcus's work on Maya's marketing campaigns was professional and effective, generating measurable increases in website traffic, social media engagement, and customer inquiries that translated into substantial revenue growth for Confluence Bakery. The success of their limited collaboration demonstrated that their professional skills remained complementary despite the personal and legal conflicts that had destroyed their partnership relationship. However, Maya maintained strict boundaries around their business interactions, conducting all communications through written contracts and formal meetings, rather than the casual conversations that had characterized their previous partnership. She also required detailed documentation of all work performed and maintained independent verification of results rather than relying on Marcus's representations about campaign effectiveness. The professional distance Maya established reflected her recognition that successful business relationships with Marcus required different structures and protections than their previous arrangement had provided. While their skills remained complementary, their fundamental disagreements about business ethics and accountability meant that any future collaboration would need to be carefully limited and legally protected.
Over time, Maya and Marcus developed a working relationship that allowed them to benefit from each other's expertise while avoiding the conflicts that had destroyed their partnership. Their interactions remained strictly professional, focused on specific project deliverables rather than broader business planning or strategic discussions that might recreate the conditions for disagreement and conflict. This limited collaboration also provided opportunities for gradual improvement in their personal relationship, though Maya remained cautious about trusting Marcus with anything beyond clearly defined business transactions. Their family interactions remained strained but civil, allowing for participation in family gatherings and significant events without the complete estrangement that had characterized the period during their legal dispute. Maya's parents expressed relief at the improvement in their children's relationship, though they continued to struggle with understanding the business and legal issues that had created such serious conflicts. David and Linda remained hopeful that time would eventually restore their family relationships to something approaching their previous closeness, though Maya understood that fundamental changes in trust and expectations would persist regardless of surface improvements. The experience had taught Maya valuable lessons about the difference between personal forgiveness and business caution, allowing her to maintain family relationships while protecting her financial interests and professional independence. She could interact with Marcus in family settings without the anger and resentment that had characterized her relationship during the legal dispute, while maintaining appropriate boundaries in any business contexts. Maya's success with Confluence Bakery had also provided her with financial security and professional credibility that reduced her vulnerability to future misconduct or manipulation. Her independent business success demonstrated that she could achieve her entrepreneurial goals without relying on family partnerships or collaborative arrangements that might compromise her autonomy or expose her to unnecessary risks. 5 years after the settlement of her legal dispute with Marcus, Maya had built Confluence Bakery into one of Portland's most successful independent food service businesses, with annual revenues exceeding $400,000 and a reputation for innovation and quality that attracted customers from throughout the Pacific Northwest. Her fusion pastries had been featured in national food magazines, and she had developed wholesale relationships with restaurants and specialty food retailers in multiple cities. The business success had provided Maya with opportunities to pursue additional ventures, including a cookbook project that would document her fusion baking techniques and a consulting practice that helped other food service entrepreneurs develop unique product offerings and sustainable business strategies. These projects reflected her evolution from someone who had been victimized by business misconduct to someone who could help others avoid similar problems while achieving their own entrepreneurial goals. Maya had also established a small business scholarship program that provided funding and mentorship for women entrepreneurs who were launching food service ventures.
The program emphasized legal education and business planning skills, reflecting Maya's commitment to helping other entrepreneurs avoid the partnership problems and legal disputes that had characterized her own early business experiences. The scholarship program allowed Maya to transform her painful experiences with Marcus into positive contributions to her community, while providing practical assistance to entrepreneurs who lacked the resources to obtain professional legal and business advice. Recipients of her scholarships received not only financial support, but also access to the network of professionals Maya had assembled during her own business development and legal proceedings. Through her business success, speaking engagements, and community involvement, Maya had become a recognized advocate for proper business practices and legal protections in entrepreneurial ventures. Her story of recovery from partnership betrayal had inspired other business owners while providing practical guidance about contract negotiation, dispute resolution, and the importance of maintaining independence even within collaborative relationships. Maya's journey from trusting sister to successful independent entrepreneur had required tremendous personal growth and professional development that extended far beyond simple business skills to encompass fundamental changes in her understanding of relationships, trust, and accountability. The painful lessons learned through her conflict with Marcus had equipped her with knowledge and wisdom that informed every aspect of her business planning and personal decision-making. The woman who had once invested her life savings in her brother's business venture based on family loyalty and shared dreams had become someone who understood the importance of legal protections, independent verification, and maintaining control over her financial future.
While the transformation had been costly and emotionally difficult, it had ultimately enabled Maya to achieve greater success and security than her original plans might have provided. Maya's relationship with Marcus had evolved into something far different from their childhood sibling bond, but it had also become more honest and realistic about their respective limitations and the conditions under which they could interact successfully. Their professional collaborations continued on a project basis, governed by clear contracts and appropriate boundaries that prevented the conflicts and misconduct that had characterized their partnership. The resolution of their dispute and the gradual improvement in their relationship had also provided Maya with a sense of closure and completion regarding the betrayal she had experienced and the legal proceedings she had pursued to address it. While she would never forget the lessons learned through that painful experience, she no longer felt defined by the conflict or limited by its emotional impact on her personal and professional development. As Maya prepared to celebrate the 5th anniversary of Confluence Bakery's opening, she reflected on the unexpected path that had led from her brother's betrayal to her current success and satisfaction with her independent business achievements. The journey had been far more difficult and complicated than her original plans for a simple neighborhood bakery, but it had also provided opportunities and experiences that she could never have anticipated when she first began saving money for her entrepreneurial dreams. The bakery had become more than just a business venture to Maya, serving as a symbol of her resilience and determination while providing a platform for innovation, community involvement, and advocacy for proper business practices. Her success had demonstrated that betrayal and setbacks could be transformed into opportunities for growth and achievement, though only through tremendous effort and commitment to learning from difficult experiences. Maya's story had resonated with other entrepreneurs and business owners who had faced similar challenges with partnerships, family businesses, or trust violations that threatened their financial security and professional goals. Her willingness to share her experiences openly had helped create awareness about the importance of legal protections and proper business structures while inspiring others to pursue accountability and recovery when misconduct occurred. The speaking engagements and consulting opportunities that had developed from Maya's business success had also provided her with additional income streams and professional satisfaction that extended beyond the daily operations of Confluence Bakery. She had discovered talents for education and advocacy that she had never recognized during her earlier career planning, opening new possibilities for future ventures and community contributions. As Maya looked toward the future, she remained committed to the independence and careful planning that had enabled her recovery from Marcus's betrayal, while staying open to collaborative opportunities that met her stringent criteria for legal protection and mutual benefit. Her experiences had taught her that successful business relationships require clear boundaries, appropriate documentation, and realistic expectations about human nature and potential conflicts. The lessons learned through her partnership dispute and legal proceedings had become integral to Maya's approach to all business and personal relationships, providing her with analytical frameworks and protective strategies that would serve her throughout her career and personal life. While the knowledge had been expensive to acquire, it had proven invaluable for navigating subsequent challenges and opportunities with confidence and appropriate caution. Maya's transformation from trusting family member to sophisticated business owner had required abandoning some of her earlier assumptions about loyalty and collaboration while developing new capabilities for independence and strategic thinking. The process had been painful but ultimately liberating, allowing her to achieve success on her own terms while maintaining relationships that were based on realistic expectations rather than idealistic assumptions. The resolution of her conflict with Marcus had provided Maya with both financial recovery and personal growth that equipped her for future challenges while demonstrating the possibility of rebuilding relationships on more honest and sustainable foundations. Her story continued to evolve as she pursued new opportunities and contributed to her community, but the core lessons about independence, accountability, and resilience would remain constant guides for whatever ventures lie ahead. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.